A gripping place for hunters who are looking for an exciting adventure, Tajikistan is well known not only for its imposing mountains and untouched wilderness, but also for its pure wildness. Due to the fact that it comprised seasoned hunters who were far into their twilight years, this expedition was more unique than it had ever been. They joined the journey with a fiery zeal, considering hunting as both a lifetime hobby and a way to develop their resolve. Despite their age, they chose to participate in the excursion. Our group gathered all of the essential equipment and then proceeded to climb the mountain with our pack of search and rescue dogs. As soon as we were in place, we concentrated our attention intensely on the environment. The dogs started barking from the opposite slope less than 5 minutes after the initial barking began. I took advantage of the situation and launched an attack right away, a shot that is flawless. I was able to kill the boar before it could vanish, and its body might fall down the slope of the mountain. This moment of triumph filled us with even more drive to keep going as we continued on our journey. At a different location, Mr. Oswald had discovered a few targets that showed promise. A single one of them was taken out by his initial shot. Another pig, who was attempting to flee, ended up falling directly into the sights of my pal. And it goes without saying that with such a close formation, there was no possibility that any of them could escape. Just take a look at this trophy, which is a wild boar that may weigh up to 165 kilograms. We are really proud of these animals. Abner's position was reached by the boars that had managed to escape earlier. They walked in a jerky manner, as if they were aware of the impending danger that was nigh. Abner, in the meantime, made adjustments to his scope, ensuring that the target was properly aligned, and then he squeezed the trigger. There is a loud hammering echo. The shot was successful. After taking only a few more paces, the hog wobbled and eventually fell to the ground. The hunt for today was enriched with yet another successful strike. Because we dispersed our members over the region, we were able to reach a greater number of targets. As soon as we sighted a boar, we coordinated our actions, with some of us observing and others taking aim in order to lure it into an unseen trap. With each passing second, the strain became more and more genuine. Eventually, a shot from a gun was heard. From a distance of 300 meters, the bullet struck the boar, causing it to fall to the ground in a matter of seconds. "Anton, would you please tell me where you are?" "Very good, yes, very nice, very good." Following the selection of a favorable firing position, we once more focused in on a new target, which turned out to be a solitary male boar that was running between the bushes. In a composed manner, my companion focused on it. When the boar halted for a moment, he promptly fired his shot. After being scared into a run by the unexpected attack, it eventually succumbed to tiredness and slumped. Given that this location is well known for being a safe haven for wild boars, it should not come as a surprise that we came across such a huge number. Due to the fact that they were located too far away, we were unable to execute any of them at this time. During the time when we were moving around looking for targets, the startling sound of the hunting hounds really got our blood pumping. It took less than a minute for each of those well-known actions to take place, moving quickly, aiming, and shooting. The only thing that was required to bring down another boar was that. About an hour had passed since we had begun our search for a wild boar. As soon as we were within striking distance, we lowered ourselves to a low crouch, adjusted our scopes, and then softly pulled the trigger. However, the boar continued to run even after it had been hit. However, the wound was lethal, and it quickly collapsed as a result. Wild boars have emerged as a significant danger to Turkey's agricultural sector, as well as to the general well-being of the country's inhabitants. In recent times, entire herds have started arriving from the forested border regions with Bulgaria and Greece, which has made the situation even more difficult to manage. In response to a request for assistance from seasoned hunters made by the local authorities, we came forward, prepared to engage in a difficult pursuit. As soon as we were in position, every member of the team immediately loaded their guns and prepared to engage in combat. What a sight to behold that is! Suddenly, a large herd of wild boars materialized before the eyes. Almost immediately, the rifle was fired. The boars, on the other hand, immediately dispersed in every desired direction. We refocused our attention, coordinated a maneuver around the area, and continued firing in order to obstruct their escape route. We were informed of the presence of an additional group of wild boars down below through the use of the walkie-talkie. "Put the fire on now." Animals were thrown into a frenzy by the gunfire, and as a result, they ran away more quickly. In spite of this, we were able to locate one. However, it was not a simple task to eliminate. Not even after being shot many times, the boar was able to get away. A herd of wild boars was visible to us from a vantage point that was somewhat elevated. We immediately raised our firearms and began firing at them without any hesitation. This one was brought down by a flawless shot. As the sound of gunfire continued to reverberate through the forest, the remaining members of the herd became terrified and fled in panic. By swinging the weapon at a different angle, we were able to detect many boars further away very instantly. However, despite their incredible speed, they were not able to avoid being hit by a bullet that was well aimed. We were beginning to feel the effects of the intense afternoon sun, but we were able to immediately regain our composure when we discovered a boar making its way through the underbrush. After taking aim with composure, I carefully aligned the weapon, and then I gently pushed the trigger. The wild pig, which had been startled, attempted to flee in a different way, but it only made it a few steps before falling in a thicket that was close. While we were on our way back to the van, we suddenly became aware of another target, and my friend Jesse calmly knocked it down with a single shot. Elwyn and I relocated to a mountain in the neighborhood. Just as we were getting started on our journey, the hunting dog suddenly began barking at a very high volume. There was a large boar that was attempting to conceal itself in the bushes in order to avoid being pursued by the dog. With lightning speed, Elwyn stepped in, and just as the boar was running for shelter, he fired a shot that was perfectly timed, putting an end to the situation. Our lives have been accustomed to the habit of tracking wild boars, although it is not always simple to achieve success in this endeavor. In spite of being subjected to a hail of gunfire, these creatures are quite swift and intelligent, and they frequently manage to escape. The dogs that we use for hunting have been shown to be dependable companions. With the help of their acute instincts and acute sense, we were able to locate and remove other targets that were concealed deep in the bush that was directly behind us. The dogs barked back at our leader as the gang made its way toward Elwyn's house, indicating that something was about to happen. Instantaneously, I raised my gun, located a suitable position, and calmly squeezed the trigger. A shot that is flawless. After yet another successful takedown by the squad, the boar fell to the ground almost immediately after it was brought down. Our next hunt took place far from the warm plains of Texas or the jagged mountains of Central Asia. This time, we journeyed to the snow-draped forests of northern Finland, where wild boars have recently begun appearing in unusual numbers, a side effect of milder winters caused by climate change. Locals said the boars had migrated north and were thriving in areas they'd never been seen before. Farmers in Lapland were baffled and alarmed. Their pastures were being dug up overnight, fencing torn apart like paper. Unlike previous hunts, we had to wear thermal suits to guard against frostbite. Temperatures dropped below -20°C, and yet, somehow, the boars thrived. Their coats were thicker, their bodies stockier, and their aggression levels unusually high. To track them, we deployed heat-sensing drones, a necessity in the snow-covered terrain where visual cues were nearly useless. From the drone's live feed, we spotted a group huddled under pine trees. The body heat of the hogs glowed orange against the icy backdrop. We closed in slowly, snow crunching beneath our boots. Just as we got into position, the wind shifted. The boars sensed us instantly and scattered. These weren't average hogs. They were wary, almost tactical. One boar charged straight toward me, tusks low and eyes locked. At that moment, instinct took over. I raised my rifle and fired a slug round at close range. The impact spun it sideways into the snow. My heart was pounding like a war drum. Later, while skinning the boar, one of the locals pointed out something strange, an extra toe on each hind foot. "Mutants," he said in a heavy accent. "Too much radiation from Chernobyl winds back in the 80s, maybe." It was probably superstition, but after what I'd seen, I wasn't so sure. Back at base, we experimented with remote-triggered traps synced to our satellite phones. The traps used motion sensors and scent-laced bait cubes designed by Finnish wildlife biologists. They only triggered once all targets were inside, a smart way to avoid spooking partial herds. We caught 11 hogs in 2 nights using that setup, without firing a single bullet. But tech doesn't always make things easier. One of our traps was destroyed. The steel bars bent outward. Locals blamed a massive male they nicknamed the Ice King, said to weigh over 300 kilograms, with scars across its back and a shattered tusk from a previous battle. We never caught sight of him, but the next morning, we found tracks the size of dinner plates circling our camp. Whether legend or real, That beast was still out there. During our stay, an elder Sami hunter invited us into his wooden lodge. Over dried reindeer meat and warm coffee, he told us of the spirit boars, boars believed to be reincarnated warriors, sent to test hunters' courage. To face them, he said, you must not hesitate. If you flinch, they curse your aim forever. That night, I dreamed of a boar standing upright, eyes glowing like coals, unmoving in the frost. Superstition or not, my hands felt heavier the next day. Maybe just fatigue, or maybe the old man's warning had settled in deeper than I thought. On our last day in Finland, the dogs picked up a lone scent trail. After 2 hours of tracking, we cornered a pure white wild boar, something I had only read about in wildlife journals. Albino boars are exceedingly rare and highly prized, not just for the trophy, but because local folklore views them as omens. We had the perfect angle, but no one took the shot. We watched in silence as it turned its head, sniffed the air, and then disappeared into the fog. There are moments in hunting when the chase matters more than the kill. This was one of them. As we packed up to leave, I knew this expedition would stay with me, not just for the success of the hunt, but for everything else it revealed. The changing behaviors of a species under pressure, the blend of science and myth, and the moments where man and beast simply acknowledge each other without the need for blood. Let me know if you'd like the next chapter to be set in Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, or maybe an urban wild boar encounter. We can go as deep or wild as you want.